Oh my god, where do I turn it off? All right, I did. Hello, my friends, operator Starsky with you. I hope you can hear me well. We have a lot of people from around the world, as always, because all the decent people from all around the world support Ukraine, which is amazing, which is something that keeps us going forward, keeps us fighting and not giving up. Guys, today I would like to talk a bit about my experience of service as a policeman in Ukraine in 2015. It was not really something like a patrol policeman in your country, because we were at war and we are still are. Yeah, and my battalion was trained to participate in the anti-terrorist operation, which took place in Ukraine in 2015. By the way, let me just bring the map real quick. I won't bother you much with the maps, my friends. I just want to have it right here in front of my eyes. And I also want to do... damn it, I'm not sure how it works. Anyways, here's Ukraine. Oh my god, guys, I made, all kinds of marks and saved favorite places on the map that might be a bit sketchy to show on public. Let me see what I can do here. Okay, all right. So we're ready. Guys, first of all, big thanks to everybody in the chat. I'm so much happy to see you. There is another stream that is that takes place right now on a different channel. Greg Terry, Professor Gerdas, and all the good guys. I would really like to set back the stream, but guys, I feel really sleepy, unfortunately, and I will not be able to keep my eyes open if I do that. If you like to see that stream, you can go there and then return and see this video in record. Anyways, it won't run away anywhere from you guys. It's there on my channel anyways. But today we have a story time, right? And as you probably know, 2015 and early 2016, I served in police, which was so interesting. It was interesting because literally 2014, I nearly, using stones and Molotovs in 2014, I nearly killed 2 police officers that later became my commander and my deputy commander in the Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine. So you may probably understand that to me it was a completely different experience from what we had during the Revolution of Dignity. But what happened in January, February, March? What happened in March 2014? First thing that happened, because Russia annexed Crimea, launched its hybrid warfare on Donbas, we created National Guard of Ukraine. And National Guard of Ukraine, my friends, it was created from activists who participated at the Revolution of Dignity, and also the guys from the police, but only the guys who remained faithful and committed to fight for Ukraine, dedicated to Ukraine. There are policemen in Russia who fled from Ukraine, as you probably know. And if you saw my stream that I made last year about the Revolution of Dignity and my participation in this revolution, you probably remember I told you about Berkut. And Berkut, those goons, they were used as a punishing force, right? So here, for example, you can see those policemen that were used as a punishing force by the corrupted pro-Russian government back then in 2013, 2014. A lot of them ran to Russia, and currently in Russia they keep their badge, right? And they're still used in Russia to beat up people, to disperse crowds. Riot control, basically, it's their primary task. Some of them, though, they remained dedicated to protecting Ukraine. And some of those guys, they were really experienced in terms of operative work on the streets, in terms of interrogating suspects, in terms of arresting suspects, in terms of tactical work, CQB and things like that. Those guys were legit, and we received a lot of experience from them. Even though, guys, back in those days, there were so many conflicts between former activists and policemen. It was insane. But as for me, you probably know that my life back in those days wasn't like, it was nothing special. I did music, right, with my band. I had a band of absolutely ridiculous young guys who wanted to play metal. Like it was 2013, okay. But generally, you know that I was an office plankton. Like seriously, nothing interesting about me. I was literally an office plankton. Then revolution happened, and then I went to police. Late 2014, I sent my application, and early 2015, I was accepted. So basically, I became a cop. And back in those days, Ukrainian police was not called police, it was militia. And we only started calling ourselves like cops, like policemen, in late 2015 after the reform. But we'll talk about it a bit later. So it was a really interesting experience. The reason why I decided to join was because in Ukraine, we despised cops so much. They were corrupted as fuck, big time. They were always used by like oligarchs, because they were corrupted, by pro-Russian regimes to suppress pro-Ukrainian activists. They were always used to protect pro-Russian movements, separatist movements. You would always see policemen beating up like guys with blue and yellow flags in Ukraine all the time. But you would never see them arresting pro-Russian separatists before 2014. And in 2014, it changed big time. And to me, it was a chance to show like how the police is supposed to be, supposed to look like. So I joined the police battalion Kyiv-1. It was a special force battalion that was designed in order to fight against the hybrid Russian threat in Donbas. Not only in Donbas, all around Ukraine, but approximately 30 different battalions were created. There were battalions like Dnipro, battalions like Lviv, so basically battalions in the major cities, not only in the major cities, but primarily. And those were trained, and they were sent to Donbas eventually. We had several deployments in Donbas. back in those days, Donbas was separated into different operative areas of operation, and our area of operation was known as Sector B of the anti-terrorist operation. So it was interesting. Unfortunately, majority of my videos don't exist anymore because that old MacBook that I had early in 2022, when attack on Hostomel happened and everything else, majority of those videos died on it. But I was lucky to find some information around different messages, around different storages, so you will not be disappointed. Okay, let me show you a small video with our training, because we passed through training as police candidates, right? Let me see if I have it for you. Yeah, I do. So those are young cops, recruits, right? Rooks, doing some kind of cringy CQB. But guys, you can see that their technique is a bit different from like technique used by cops nowadays. Again, because guys, it's 2015. Nobody taught us to like hold guns like properly, right, and like pull them to your body instead of pointing down, for a simple reason, because in the law, Закон про милицию, oh my god, law regulating militia, the police, it was said that you should always point your sidearm at ground or in the air, you know, to avoid casualties. So everything changed late 2015. Everything changed. We were still very much like, you know, that Spetsnaz shit, but we were already there on our way to reforms and to the changes. So those guys are training in the kill house, trying to like infiltrate a building. Those guys are practicing CQB, as you can see. And that one, that is our training camp not far from Kiev. There's this big territory used by the Ministry of Interior to train personnel. Yes, of course, we had some armored vehicles as well. We had some BTRs, BRDMs, and we also had some, my god, what did we have? BMPs, actually. I think that you will see them. Guys preparing for a deployment, and other guys are preparing to go back home. They're switching. Yeah, there you can see one of our BMPs that we used on Donbas. Really nice stuff. Really nice stuff. That is Donbas. I believe that is exactly Sector B, so-called Sector B, the territory that would encircle places like Pisky, Krasnohorivka, Kurakhove. So if we take a look at the map here, that is Kurakhove, Mariinka, Donetsk, all those places. So right now you're looking like at Sector B, our area of operations. Currently, there's no, because it's a Google Maps, there's no like front line, you cannot see it right now, but oh my god, at this point it looks something like this. Okay, I'm not sure how it goes like here, but it goes like this. Mariinka is completely destroyed and occupied, Krasnohorivka as well. Kurakhove is still holding, but Back in those days, situation was a bit different. And we were operating in this area, in places like Kurakhove. Here we had Maryanka. North of Maryanka, we had Krasnohorivka, this one. We spent quite a while here. And front line was going like here, like this. This was like Russian shit, and this one was like our territory, Krasnohorivka. But before we went to the Donbas, of course, first we passed training, then we had to conduct different operations. We were involved into mass actions to enforce National Guard on the streets, to protect road police, those fat corrupted crooks that, thank God and all the saints, disappeared completely in late 2015 after the reforms. And of course, because I was a cop, I used this as an opportunity to make like pictures with, interesting people on the streets. They could not refuse my offer because I was a cop. Sometimes I would get like literally fined for speeding. Just kidding. Actually, that is road police. And we were stationed with them at the checkpoints. And we were basically making sure that they don't do shit. Because road police, that is their car, they were corrupted. We hated them like they sucked. And we were there to make sure they don't take bribes, they don't do shit. That's why they hated us big time. Like literally there were moments when, there's this cop that is like Maximilian. Kyiv-1 was created as a militia battalion, but basically militia had the same functions as the police. This is just how we called them. In Germany, it's Polizei. In the US, it's police. In Ukraine, it was militia. But later, they were reformed into what today we know as National Police of Ukraine. Where was I? Anyways, we were like literally, stationed there at the checkpoints. Again, checkpoints around Kyiv. Sometimes we would be ordered to intercept some specific car to check some suspects or people that were like spotted going in our direction and things like that. So we did things like that, like filtration functions. And those like corrupted cops from the road police, oh my God, we had so many cringe stories with them. Literally, I would report like majority of them to the security service of Ukraine because they were saying all kinds of shit about the revolution of dignity. They were saying shit about separatists. They were like, I have a friend on the other side fighting against Ukraine, but he's my friend. I cannot do anything, to this. Sometimes he goes to Kyiv. Sometimes he brings weapons. Like the dude is literally telling me this shit there at the checkpoint. So I did all I could. So this dude disappeared, right? It was a proper thing to do, of course. After that, we went on a deployment. After the training. Oh, one story I remember from my training. We went to the camp. In the camp, we were trained how to check cars at the checkpoint. It's a really important thing, guys. I learned so much from more experienced guys. And Caitlin T asks, did I ever catch any corrupt cop in the act? It was like this. I was like literally standing there looking at a cop that was talking to driver, and he was looking at me like very, very mad, like, and I'm going, dude, I'm here to protect you from joining the dark side. This is how basically I received my call sign, which was Jedi in the battalion. And one story I remember, so we were trained in terms of checking cars at the checkpoint, in terms of checking people, checking suspects, arresting them, all kinds of stuff. How to react in the field, for example, because in Donbas we would not always operate on the streets. We would operate in the urban area, of course, most of the time, but we would also escort air reconnaissance teams with drones, so they would conduct reconnaissance of the area. We would provide them with security and everything like that. And one time, my friend Sashko, he was former airborne, okay, and unfortunately he died in 2017. But he taught us how to like disappear in forest. And what we did there was like a small exercise when a group of people had to pass by several guys that were hidden in the bushes in the forest, and their task was to like literally count the number of people. There were like recon troops, and those guys had to do all they could to expose those guys, to find them. And Sashko says, let's bury you. I'm like, oh shit, let's do this. And we took 2 shovels, we made like a small grave. I laid down there like embryo, you know, and he put all kinds of branches on me, like all he could find. And basically I was buried like in a hole in the ground under the like branches and leaves and everything. I couldn't see much. I literally had like a small hole between the branches, like in front of me, so I could see the road, right, the trail. And the guys passed by me and they didn't notice me. Like they literally walked around my little grave. They didn't see me. And after a while they found all other guys, but they didn't see me. Guys, it was freaking insane, because after like 5 minutes of lying down, I noticed that black ants that apparently had a nest in that hole started fighting against red ants that were residing in some of the like big branches, and they decided to fight literally on me, on my head and stuff. And I was really, really close to this moment when I would just like say the hell with all this shit and just, you know, jump and run away. But it took me insane amount of, you know, willpower, literally, to just lie down without moving, because my whole face was covered in ants and they were killing each other. Like literally, they were fighting for life, and they were fighting for life on my face. They were crawling under my clothes. They were everywhere. They were basically like dancing samba on my balls. I freaking swear. And I was lying down without moving, just, you know, relaxing and feeling all those like hundreds of ants on me. It was crazy. But later the guys were like, okay, where are you, Jedi? And I'm like jumping out like crazy and starting, you know, like throwing those ants from myself Oh my God. That is something I will never forget, my friends. That is crazy. So after that, our team got deployed to Donbas, and it was exactly June 2015. It was exactly the moment when several Russian hybrid units, including Petnashka, that was recently obliterated in Kursk, they decided to attack Mariinka and capture this town, capture the very city. They were caught in the so-called fire bag. We obliterated them with artillery. Some of them got locked in the police department of Mariinka, and here I have the photo behind me, the blue building that you can see. That is that very building, I believe. Not the blue one, the white one right here. Oh shit, right here, without windows. So that was police department of Mariinka. It was pretty much destroyed from one side. That side is not, doesn't really look destroyed, but it was pretty much destroyed during the combat because several terrorists covered there. They wounded one of our guys with a hand grenade, and literally we annihilated them using like concentrated fire of smaller arms, heavy machine guns, BTR machine gun, and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. Mariinka back in those times, and behind my back you can see a road that basically goes all the way to Alexandrivka here. Alexandrivka was already under the Russian control, this settlement here, and this was like front line, this one. So we were operating in Mariinka itself. It was an interesting experience. You know, first thing you feel when you go on a deployment to a war zone, which is Donbas. I've never been to Donbas after the Russian invasion, the Russian hybrid invasion back in 2014. So first thing you feel is like it's kind of scary, okay, because people naturally are afraid of things they don't know. And when you're going to Donbas on a bus, what you feel is like you expect that somebody would spot your bus and then they would coordinate a MLRS strike and you will die. Like, of course, it didn't happen. But while en route, you always think about such things like, what if there's like an ambush on the road? What if there's like, I don't know, what if they report your movement and things like that? So in reality, it wasn't really scary. Again, guys, 2014, 2015, 2016, they were different from what we have now. Terrorists in Donbas, they had tanks, they had all kinds of artillery, but they didn't have like long-range missiles, they didn't have aviation, and they didn't have fleet, of course. But other than that, they had everything else. Reconnaissance and sabotage groups, snipers, Russian mercenaries, Russian regular troops, again, all kinds of artillery, they had all that. And It Wasn't Me asks, how does it feel like to remember those fallen towns today? It feels bad, because literally I expected this war to end, and I expected to go and see, you know, like old places like Krasnohorivka, Kurakhove, Svetlodarka, but probably not this year. So we arrived to Marianka. We were accommodated in, after this operation finished, we accommodated in Kurakhove, in Krasnohorivka, and since that moment our work began. Here I have like a snapshot from a video. Guys, one thing you should understand about me back in those days, in 2015, I was not a press officer. I was literally just an ordinary police dude who came to Donbas to work. Like, I had absolutely no intention to make videos. I had no intention to make our guys famous. I had no intention to make interviews or give interviews. I was just a cop, and I did my job together with our guys. That's why, unfortunately, I don't have as much footage as you probably expect, but still. And here we have Krasnohorivka. This is like Stella that says not really sure how to translate this shit, my friends. Let's call it like brick factory of Krasnohorivka, okay? I can say that Krasnohorivka back in those days, it was pretty much damaged, not completely destroyed, but I don't know, 15-20% of buildings would be damaged real bad. This is Vostochka, this is eastern outskirt of the Krasnohorivka town, where like final line of defense, it was armed forces of Ukraine. They were like defending Krasnohorivka itself, and we were operating inside of the town. So our task was pretty much to search and to combat all kinds of ninjas, like spies, terrorists, criminals, guys smuggling weapons, people smuggling drugs, people selling alcohol to military buying alcohol, all kinds of people. I had a small team that specialized in OSINT, so we used Russian social networks in order to find terrorists, their friends, and friends of their friends. I had like a huge list of people that I would like to talk with, you know. So every single time we were on a patrol, I would take that list with me. It was really, really long, you know, and whenever we checked documents, of course, I would refer to this list every single time, which helped us several times. In Krasnohorivka, it's... wait, did I show this one? Yeah, that is one of our guys. Oh my god, call sign artist. Because he was extremely funny. Oh Jesus, he was like Joker. I think call sign Joker would fit him more. And speaking of Krasnohorivka, while on a patrol, of course, you cannot evade like trees, like fruit trees, because all kinds of stuff is growing like literally on a street. And Krasnohorivka is basically like a bunch of private houses, a bunch of cottages, and in the downtown and on the eastern outskirts, there's several like multi-story buildings, like projects, I think. I think this is how we call them. But when on a patrol, we would always literally eat like cherries and stuff like that from the trees because we were hungry. I don't have this photo with me, but in 2015, salary of a policeman in Ukraine, even considering all the ridiculous prices, was approximately $100 a month. Okay, you could survive in Ukraine having $100 a month, but it was hard. And also, we had some kind of provision, but again, 2015, Yanukovych, Ukrainian dictator who fled to Russia, he fled to Russia with annual budget of Ukraine in his pocket, unfortunately. That's why we were not in the best condition, like financially in general. It took us some years to recover. And we were hungry as hell. That's why we were like, chewing on all kinds of cherries and apples and pears and everything. Luckily, in Krasnohorivka, everything just grew on a street. You would just go from like tree to tree, in this zigzag pattern and eat. It was cool. Guys were repairing streets. I made this photo because to me personally it was really important to show people in Kyiv that people in Krasnohorivka are repairing streets that were like damaged due to the combat, like it was important to show, of course. And for example, if we're talking about the eastern outskirts of Krasnohorivka, here on this photo, you can see the positions that belonged to the armed forces of Ukraine. Now they are temporarily occupied by Russian degenerates. But here on this photo, if we zoom it, right, you can see like this building in the middle with a red roof and like projects behind it. So that was already Russian, basically Russian controlled territory. And that building with the red roof, it was Staromykhailivsky brick factory. Here on the photo, I will show it to you in just a second. So here we have Krasnohorivka, right? I got, why don't you say Krasnohorivka? Here, this is Krasnohorivka. And basically that building that you saw with like red roof, it's this one. This one. And if we zoom it, I'm not sure about today, by the way, I didn't notice. Ah, yeah, it's still there. So here Russians had positions for their mortars. Right here. I believe it was 82mm mortar, and they would frequently shell us using those mortars. Here you can see trenches, like literally going from this factory to the tree line and further, and basically, whoa, guys, I didn't see this one. it didn't look like that previously, seriously. Looked different in 2015. But from this position, they would often shell Krasnohorivka. And I remember I made a photo of a local school that was located not far from that brick factory in Krasnohorivka. Unfortunately, I don't have it here, but they installed new windows all around the school. And like next shelling, and they lost all the windows because of the fragments. Donetsk aerodrome is northeast, not far from that place. We always heard battles around like Avdiivka. While stationed in Krasnohorivka, we could hear the battles happening in around Avdiivka, around the Donetsk airport, but we'll talk about it later. And where was it? Yeah, so this is a photo of that Russian position that I took from our position in Krasnohorivka. And what we usually did there, we were going on patrols. Again, we were checking people, we were looking for suspects, we were referring to our like different lists, not only my personal list, but also lists of suspects provided by the Ministry of Interior, by local police, by Security Service of Ukraine. We did a lot of work. Here we're checking some of the locals. So we were like behaving well, they were behaving well. It was, again, interesting experience. Here you can see morning Krasnohorivka with like this beautiful fog. It was extremely cool. This place, it was interesting because you see like behind my back, in the right part of the photo, there's this like bushes. So if you walk to the end of those bushes, there's high probability that you would die due to the sniper fire, because from that position you could clearly see the Russian position in Staromykhailivka. So it was kind of sketchy, and sometimes they would shoot us with AGS, automatic grenade launcher, usually, of course, in the night when OSC observers would go to bed. That's when they would shell us or shoot us from AGS. Back in those days, drones were not used to drop grenades or other explosive devices, like they were not used for that purpose. Back in those days, drones were like only recently introduced. We generally used them literally for reconnaissance, so did Russians. So there were drones flying all over the area. I was not skilled much back in those days to shoot them down, but it was interesting anyways. Yeah, that is one of the projects that fell victim to Russian tank fire. So from this window, you could literally see Donetsk. As I mentioned, Krasnohorivka was pretty much damaged. There was quite a lot of damage done to the private buildings, to cottages. People kept living there. Some people evacuated, of course. And by the way, in that building I made this photo. It's a hole from a tank shell. So you see like the tree line, like on the horizon, that's Donetsk. That's Donetsk itself. I believe Pokrovsky district, something like that. From this place, you could see like Abakumova mine. Let me try to zoom it for you guys. Okay, so you can see like structures, right? On the horizon. That is Abakumova coal mine in Donetsk, literally. And this hole in the building basically means that Russian tank was shooting at this building from Donetsk. Funny fact. Of course, there were different people. There were nice people, there were not really nice people, and I would talk to the guys, to the locals, and the locals who were listening to Russian media their whole life. They would go, you see those holes in the buildings? Ukrainians were shooting at us. And I'm like, okay. You see this hole, right? What do you see through this hole? He's like, Donetsk? I'm like, yes. Good. So, who were shooting at this building? He's like, Ukrainians. I'm like, can you explain how exactly Ukrainians were shooting from Donetsk if it's occupied? And he's like, well, you see, Ukrainians were using specific NATO missiles that would turn around 180 degrees and hit our buildings, so they could blame Russians. And that very moment, I would literally stop conversation, because some people, you just cannot fix them. Like pretty much like some opinion makers among like MAGA nowadays, right? So sometimes Russians would shell us from Staromikhailivka, some cottages would be damaged, some were set on fire, unfortunately. That's one of the cases. Made a photo. They sometimes used bigger calibers. This one is still 82 millimeters. We used to take those shell fragments, because nowadays it's really, really cool when you have like a piece of Russian tank, right? Or Russian airplane. Back in those days, I would literally collect or like harvest a kilogram of fragments, bring them home and give them out to my friends. I would bring like kilograms of them, literally. And sometimes they would shell us with 152 millimeter shells. And those were nasty. That crater behind me, like literally I have another photo where I jumped into the crater, and it was like as deep as I am tall, like literally. And next to this building, there you see Nova Poshta, that is post service, very, very cool one. It's basically like DHL, only in Ukraine, and much, much better. Next to the Nova Poshta, there was like gas station. It was abandoned because Russians destroyed it. There was market, like bazaar, okay, like open air market. And also there was like a restaurant. I remember my first deployment, they were still intact. My second deployment, I came to Krasnohorivka, and the market and the restaurant like vanished. And in the market, among the ruins of market, we found this absolutely eerie picture, like the doll just lying on the ground on the pile of rubbish and debris. I decided to make this photo because like it was like something from a horror movie. And guys, I just remembered that I made photos of so there was like building that was completely obliterated by the artillery fire, and there were photos of people who lived there, like physical photos, paper photos. And I made photos of photos, and I don't have them here right now, unfortunately. But anyways, this one, so again, that's a snapshot from a video. You see a dude lying on the ground and another dude like sitting on him, like partially. So that dude is me. So basically we arrested a dangerous dude while during operation. This one and the dude was arrested in Kurakhova. I will talk about Kurakhova a bit later. Kurakhova was one of the places where we also operated in Sector B. It's located right here. And it was a really, really cool place. Like, seriously. It was like, okay, I cannot compare it to Miami, but it was good as for Ukraine. So we went to, oh my god, how was this place called? Jesus Christ, north of Krasnohorivka. Just a second, guys. How could I forget about it? Okay, Avdiivka here. Oh my god. Guys, I'm getting old. Not Novotroitsk. Man. What's wrong with me? Okay, anyways. We went to this settlement. We were literally searching house after house because we had information that the town got infiltrated. And in one of the houses, we found two women. We checked their phones, and their phones were full of shit. So they were like photos of banners endorsing Berkut, like killing people in Kiev. There was all kinds of separatist symbolic, Russian flags, like Russian propaganda, and all kinds of shit. So we brought them in, right? They got detained, but there was an interesting conversation because one of our guys was actually Berkut. And he was like, guys, you are brainwashed so bad. So those two girls, they belong to the medical service of Vostok Battalion, Russian terrorist battalion, Vostok. They got arrested. They literally lived on the controlled territory. They didn't care, you know, because apparently they thought that because they were women, nobody would ever touch them. So they got detained, and in their house, we found this crazy shit. It's a cookie saying Novorossiya, like that separatist formation that Putin wanted to create in south and east of Ukraine. How do you like this shit? Like cookies with Novorossiya flag. Like, I haven't seen anything like that. Never in my life. It was crazy. But then in Kurakhova, we went on a patrol, and I'm standing there near a nightclub. And where are they now? I don't really know. Maybe they got exchanged, maybe whatever. Vostok Khodorkovsky unit, that's exactly the one. Yeah. Caitlin, that's not a Confederate flag. The problem is because Russians are so stupid, so they cannot create anything new. They literally snatched a Confederate flag, apparently because they knew that it will not be used in the US never again. However, who knows? So, Kurakhova, where was it? Guys, I still feel embarrassed that I forgot the name of the town. Forgive me, okay? So Kurakhova. Here they had like the main road, and I believe somewhere here there was a club. I can't really remember the exact place, but like in this general area. So there was a nightclub, dances, discotheque, and stuff like that. And we're standing there with my partner and checking people. And then there's this 21-year-old boy who actually looked like much younger. He looked as if he was like 17 or something. That was one of the reasons why I decided to check his documents. So while my partner is checking his documents, his ID, I was checking this dude's social media. And it was clean. To my surprise, it was completely clean. But there was only one publication. Like, his social media page looked like any other social media page of a dude from Donbas, of like a young guy from Donbas, right? Chicks, cars, guns, marijuana, like, you know, proper kid from Donbas. But I noticed one publication that was reposted from pro-Russian group back in the times of the Revolution of Dignity. And I'm like, what is this? And the dude goes, that is just, I just reposted because I was stupid. And because he starts acting like very, very much nervously, I decided to, play like to bluff, okay, like in poker. So I go, dude, do you know that this is actually like a violation, and like it's a crime what you just did, because like you're against Ukraine, against constitution, against sovereignty and stuff like that. That's a big crime. And he's like, oh my God, I will tell you everything. And I'm like, ooh, that is interesting. So I asked him to come to our place next day. He came to our to our headquarters in Kurakhova with his father. And he goes, okay, so guy over there, he's like a drug dealer. Guy over there, he's like a separatist. He's not in Kurakhova anymore, but he was a separatist. And he told us a lot of interesting information. And then he took my tablet, right? He logged in to his social media, and he's like, you see this guy? That is like Russian terrorist. And I'm like, oh, that is interesting. One thing he didn't do was he didn't log out. So somehow it happened that I opened his profile back, and I discovered that this innocent young boy, 21 years old, only last year fought in 1st Slovyansk Division of Igor Girkin, also known as Strelkov. He has plenty of friends among terrorists from Vostok Battalion. He has plenty of friends among Kadyrovite Chechens. They were like chatting with them, sending pictures. And as you probably understand, that very evening, the guy got detained. So because we got this guy, we got a lot of interesting insights, okay, about things happening in Kurakhova. And in particular, he helped us to find this shit. So this is an arsenal of weapons that we found in one of the garages in the area. You can see blue license plates, okay? That is like fake police numbers. There you can also see 2 grenade launchers, several rifles, that on the left there's like revolver with silencer, and handgun, like a lot of interesting stuff. Again, it's snapshots from video. I literally had a video that I could show you, but unfortunately they vanished. Now I have only snapshots. So there was a bunch of grenades, all kinds of ammunition for rifles, for handguns, One interesting thing that we found was ammo for a handgun, but I believe it was like 9mm by 21 or something like that. And as far as I remember, this shit is used, wait, let me check if I'm correct, 9 by 21mm. Yeah, so let me show it on the screen. This stuff, it's used in the modern Russian handguns. They eventually attempted to change PM pistol, the pistol of Makarov, to some other shit, and they used this very caliber. So we found those as well. I had it on my video. Unfortunately, again, it vanished. And shit like that. So among all kinds of weapons, like besides all kinds of shit that we found in the garage, there was like drug producing factory. Okay, so on the left there was a like a fridge, and in the fridge this dude kept drugs. Okay. So the dude got arrested, the dude who had the garage got arrested, we confiscated all that stuff, Security Service of Ukraine arrived, like shaked hands, and it was a good operation, it was a success, because that stuff could be easily used by terrorists against Ukrainian soldiers, against civilians, against anybody. So we liquidated, we removed the arsenal. Besides things like that, of course, sometimes we would get invited by local municipality to participate in like different events in schools, for example. One of those kids gave me like lялька мотанка. It's like a rug doll that is traditional for Ukraine. It's a traditional stuff. It's used as a talisman. So I had it with me for a while. I believe that I gave it to somebody, but I carried it with me. This guy in the middle, oh, it was a cool story. It was a really cool story. So the other day we're driving down the road and we see a guy like literally walking on the sidewalk, and like, you know, over time when you serve in police, you build up your intuition. Like we use it, we really do. And like he looks suspicious. Okay, so we stopped him and we checked his phone, and on his phone we found photos from his wedding that took place in Donetsk. Interesting thing, by the way. So you can see the so-called DPR flags, the colors on top, right? And on the door, you can see blue-yellow sticker. So they didn't remove the blue-yellow sticker because the sticker is basically saying protected by Berkut. So they tolerated the blue-yellow flag. But it's a Donetsk department for registration of weddings, okay? And the dude is on a photo. And besides the dude, you can see all kind of Russian people. And his mother turned out to be a doctor in the hospital of Donetsk, and she served and healed all kinds of like Kadyrovites and other garbage. So on his phone there were like different pictures. Like here, for example, you can see his best buds. It's from a wedding. You can see like proper Russian people there in the car. The dude wearing like OMON uniform from Russia. It's cringe as fuck. So we recruited this guy, and he actually helped us big time. We made him an offer he couldn't refuse. Then in Krasnohorivka, I remember there was a moment when our guys ambushed a hybrid recon group, like consisting of Russians and Kadyrovites and local separatists. So I did not participate. I was guarding the headquarters, but what happened was the guys ambushed a recon group, and they shot several of them. They killed a Kadyrovite. His body was later exchanged. Apparently, they also either killed or wounded several of terrorists, and unfortunately, those managed to get away. But we also captured a terrorist. And here we have his picture. So this picture comes from his phone, actually. It's that one on the photo, it's not a navy shirt. Actually, this shirt is police. The black one, the black stripes. I believe that's tanker. Because tankers have black stripes, Navy have dark blue stripes, and the fuck on the right saying with the word Amon, that is Russian cup, also known as mint. So this one, he got wounded. We brought him to the controlled territory. His wounds were treated in the ambulance, and later he was exchanged for Ukrainian soldiers. On his phone, though, again, we found all kind of interesting shit. There was footage made from apparently like a Mavic drone or something showing trenches. Like I believe I can show them now because our positions in Krasnohorivka don't exist anymore. Temporarily, okay? We will return. Also, there was a picture of this dude like having a picnic, a barbecue somewhere in Donbas, while on duty. I'm not sure, guys, if you can imagine like military from your army like doing that shit, like, that cognac, by the way, in the middle of that, like over here, that cognac is actually Chabot. It's a really good cognac, and actually I think they had like a really good time there. There's tea, cognac, sausages, potato, Russian uniform, Russia provided weapons, of course, and shit like that. And there's a picture of his body. I'm not sure if he was trying to be sexy. It's just like they were relaxing, having good time. There were also like photos of his family in Donetsk. And guys, it was insane because there were like pictures of his daughter with her boy, and her boy had his leg fixed because apparently he was one of the terrorists and he was wounded, and he had like his leg treated, and there was like this dude, his daughter, her boy, his wife, in beautiful, peaceful Donetsk with like air balloons with flowers, people having fun, Kadyrovites dancing Lezginka. When Russians say shit about 8 years of bombing Donbas, like that's literally the thing, because Donetsk and Luhansk until 2022 were the most intact cities in the whole Donbas, trust me. Maybe I will find those photos later and show it to you guys. I really hope so, because it would be a shame to lose all that incredible footage. Oh my god, what else did we do? Like, it was a crazy time. 2015. We also operated in Pisky. Unfortunately, I didn't make much footage because, again, I wasn't press officer, I was a cop. But when we were in Pisky, I decided to literally make a screenshot instead of making selfies or whatever. I decided to make a screenshot of my Google Maps because in the right part of the photo, you can see the Donetsk airport. So basically, we were very, very close to that place. There's Pisky. It was a frontline town, and when you stand on a balcony, you can literally see the Donetsk airfield. The territory of Donetsk airfield. It was huge. I believe it was something like maybe 6 kilometers long, maybe more, or something like that. So yeah, I made this screenshot just for like history, I used the Android back in those days. Late 2015. So long story short, after returning from another deployment, and it was anniversary of the beginning of Revolution of Dignity, as soon as we returned to Kyiv, next day we literally were brought to Maidan, where we had to guard and protect the crowd. Okay, and I remember we went to McDonald's to get warm. We bought coffee and we were walking back to our guys, like literally wearing the same camo we were wearing like yesterday in Donbas. And there were two guys standing there, like two teenagers, I believe, like 17, 18 years old. And they looked at us and they were like, "Why don't you go to Donbas, you cops?" And we were laughing so hard at them because, I learned to tolerate all kinds of people because, again, a bit more than 1 year of service in police, we had all kinds of situations. And I forgot to show you some video, of course, because I have it as well. Here we are on a patrol in eastern Krasnohorivka, eastern outskirts. It's where you have those like projects, the multi-story buildings. You see some of the windows lost glass, of course. That is like a grocery store that was closed because it was bombed, shelled. That's, again, one of our guys. It's so cool, to see, like, the technique, the training that we had. It was different from what we had in the, like, later in the brigade, in the National Guard. And it was, of course, much different from the training that the guys later in the Reformed National Police received, because we were like more old school, we still had like a lot of those Spetsnaz like tradition or like shit. But it was kind of funny. And sometimes nothing would happen for weeks. And that's when things would get really boring. We didn't like things to get boring because there's nothing to talk about at home, right? So sometimes we would feel really, really bored.
Ми ведемо свій репортаж. Та бачу воронка. Ми ведемо свій репортаж із самої восточної окраїни. Красногоровки.
Коси, блядь, ви.
Бля,
Коса, блядь.
Альберт, ти не шариш, блядь.
Отихо!
22 вересня.
Закрили те таке!
Без 10-9. 2015 рік.
І поміняти надо.
От. І у нас з Альбертом і Костей відповідальна місія. О,
Сам
а от,
жопонь.
да, в саму жопеньку. А от там от вже сидять сепари. Ну, кстати, да, тому на одному місці краще не стоять.
Тоже буду упорный,
Костя!
Ай, блядь, роти розтягнув, блядь.
Ніч яка місячна, зоряна ясна. О, починається дискачик. Зараз підемо в самий піздерез, пацани.
Кого перемирие.
Дай закурить, братан.
О!
Красиво.
That's literally, we were sitting at the balcony, smoking one cigarette, you know, sharing one cigarette because we didn't have much. Again, salary was ridiculous. And the terrorists would start shelling positions of the armed forces of Ukraine. It was crazy. One time we went there in the night, and so they started shelling them. And we went there, you know, to observe situation. In case of something, in case of snafu, we would help armed forces. And there was a case when Russians went through the cemetery. And we tried to lock them at the cemetery and eliminate them, but they went inside the city and disappeared. Like, it was sketchy. But they started shelling us. Then our guys brought tank shot several times at the terrorists. They called our guys and they asked for a ceasefire. Like, what the fuck?
Не, бон курили. Уже последнего.
Я...
Хто? Рембо? Це не брат твої рідні менше.
Houses were damaged by Russian artillery. In that area, practically all houses were without windows, literally. So sometimes it was really boring. Like, sometimes we were just, you know, roam around without any progress, without anything. That's the guys are discussing on the background. The guys are discussing when Russians took my picture in the social media and they made propaganda from it. They said, look at this brave Russian soldier going to protect Novorossiya. And everybody were freaking laughing at me because like, they knew that it was me, but because Russians are so stupid, they didn't know that I was a Ukrainian soldier, actually. But it was kind of cringy. Yeah, that's artist on the right. I think we're preparing to go somewhere, like on a patrol or something. I say, Mom, I ate well and I'm wearing armor. So there were different situations. One time we went to Krasnohorivka, to eastern district of Krasnohorivka, and there was this family drinking, like 12 p.m. literally. They were drunk so bad. And they saw us, and because apparently like they hated us so much because they were drunk, so they started talking shit. And there was this woman who tried to provoke like a fight or something like that. And she started accusing me in not doing my job properly.
Меня начинает бесить.
Ну успокойся ты, ну что ты...
Что вас начинает бесить?
Почему, когда нас бомбят, вас не видно?
Я вам...
So this woman asks, why when we are shelled, we cannot see you? Because apparently she doesn't know that during like combat, soldiers are usually at the positions where you cannot see civilians. And civilians themselves, they must be in the bomb shelters. So, you know, but I tried to explain her that when you're hiding in the basement, despite like shellings and everything else, we go out, we patrol the streets to make sure that nobody's gonna steal stuff from your apartment and things like that. But she wasn't satisfied with the answer. And worst thing, you know, her small kid watched her drunk like a fucking pig. And because I talked calmly to her, which you can probably see. Here, for example, I'm trying to show her that we are there at, you know, in that very district, like several days ago during shelling, and we're patrolling. But anyways, so her kid was there looking and observing all this freaking situation.
Ой, да все, до свидания.
Которые живут и наслаждаются.
He says, sir, have a good day. Like, I wish you all the best.
Все, малый, все, не плачь, все будет нормально. Ты не переживай. Ну, то есть просто, ну...
I'm trying to calm this kid down because apparently he thought that I was gonna arrest his mother or something. You know, even though she was like completely insane, she was drunk like pig, and it was impossible to communicate with her at all. And the kid came to me and he said, like, I wish you all the best. And he started crying, and I tried to like calm him down.
Как бы видишь, твоя мама там чуть-чуть дебоширит, но все будет хорошо.
Знаем, блин, просто знаем.
So I decided to share my bottle of Pepsi with him, and I just bought the bottle of Pepsi, guys. I had a salary of $100 a month. You know how much it cost me.
Что мы для вас не враги? Сын растет. У меня такой же
У меня,
На,
самый.
держи.
Мой сын.
Да держи пепси.
Да
Возьми.
дядя. Не плачь, все хорошо.
Не плачь, все будет хорошо, никто твою маму
Мы
трогать не
вам не
будет.
враги, мы ваши друзья,
Да, мы
потому что
понимаем.
мы живем.
Now everybody is trying to like
Наш мы братья.
calm down the kid. The man says that we all have families, we're your friends, like we are like civilians, we support you, and yada yada.
Да, они понимают, как бы,
Everybody hugged and started dancing.
общие картины. Вот. Но если солдаты будут дебоширить, то обращайтесь в комендатуру.
Обращайтесь сюда 03, 02, 03.
You see that drunk person, she was absolutely crazy, but in the end I was happy to get rid of her anyways. So we had a lot of that, unfortunately. Sometimes we would stop like all kinds of drunk people. There was a crazy situation. We were patrolling the streets, and some woman is running towards us like crazy. And she goes, "My neighbor is trying to kill his family with a knife." And we're like, "Oh, let's go." And we're running to this house, like a cottage, right? And there we can see like this big dude with a knife, and he's completely drunk. So he's just sitting there with a knife. And according to this witness, he was like literally jumping with a knife on his daughter. She was like 20 something, and his wife. And you know this moment when the dude, like, he's literally sitting there with, so first of all, he looks really angry. He looks like very mad, but at the same time, he looks like he's alpha. Like nobody can do anything to him. Like he won. He's a victor. He like did everybody, you know? And he's sitting there like smoking, playing with the knife. And then like next thing he says is like 4 dudes in armored vests and with like rifles running towards him. And he's like, oh, like changing him in his face. So we brought him to the police department, of course. And of course, his family said, like, he tried to kill us, but we will not testify because he's our dad and husband. Yeah, happens. So there were all kinds of situations. You know, over 1 year, I met all kinds of people. Nice people, not really nice people, some really good people, some really nasty ones. There was a cop who was selling drugs, and he was like we're detaining him, and he's like, guys, like, come on, why are you doing this? I'm a cop just like you, you know, we can be friends. Like, I have friends here, I have friends there on that side, you know, we all have to live in peace, you know, we can solve this shit, right? I'm like, of course we can solve this shit, you're going to jail. So we brought him to the department too. Then there were cops, like those corrupted ones from Donetsk Oblast, who were going around businesses, taking bribes, and saying that they are us. So when we found them, they were really, really sorry, okay? But it's a completely different story. They were really sorry. So there's so many situations. It's like a completely different life. And 1 and something years of this experience, it was something I will never forget. Late 2015, we decided to try ourselves in the selection program for Alpha. It's Special Force Unit of Security Service of Ukraine. We all failed, like whole platoon completely. I lacked just 1 point. But unfortunately, you know, if you lose, you lose. So December 2015, we passed another selection program to my brigade. I was among those 10 men from 50 candidates who tried. Those 10 men passed the selection program. So March 2016, I quit National Police, and even though I still, not like I regret, but you know, I miss those times because it was a moment when I realized that I was doing something really, really good. policemen are not about, arresting people, detaining people. Policemen are those who have this power and capability to help. You can talk. You can solve problem. You can convince people to do something or not to do something. You can show support and things like that. As a soldier, literally, you're sitting at the position somewhere. You don't really see civilians at all, right? And they don't see you. But as a cop, you are constantly communicating with the guys, with civilians, with everybody. And not only you can arrest bad guys, okay? But you can also help good people. And when good people are abused, when somebody steals stuff from them, when somebody is violent against normal civilian people, against pedestrians, you are the person who can be their salvation. You are the dude who can help them. And you are the dude who can show them that bad guys will be punished. And this is something that civilians want to hear from you. Whenever somebody's abused or assaulted, we're all humans and we all want to, retaliate somehow. We want attacker to be punished. We want the bad guy to be punished. And you are the dude, you're the first dude they're talking to about it. And you're the first dude who says, don't worry, we will find this bastard and he will be punished. So that is something that I miss, and something that I will never forget, of course. Something I still keep inside myself, So I really, really hope that it was informative and interesting for you, my friends. I will be answering questions now. Tell us about the transition. How did the cop of Kyiv-1 turn into National Guardsman? So our battalion turned into a regiment. After the reform, several battalions were united into regiment. Kyiv-1, Kyiv-2, Zoloti Vorota, and something else. They were all united into a police regiment, and we realized that there will be more tasks not related to fighting Russians. So there will be more tasks that would be similar to the tasks performed by patrol police, okay? That was not something I wanted to do, because I became policeman for the very obvious reason. I wanted to protect my country. And my battalion was created as a Special Force Battalion for combating hybrid Russian threat. So that's when I decided to first try myself in Alpha, together with whole our platoon, and then in the brigade. My God, guys, there's so many questions. Thank you for sharing this part of your personal history. Is it as hard for you as I imagine, or does it maybe even happen? Kind of hard. Nothing is easy except for dying. Pepsi, why punish the little kid? Guys, you know me, okay? when I was patrolling like Krasnohorivka or Kurakhove, I would always have like a bunch of candies that I would give out to poor kids, poor local kids, because people there, they lived in poverty big time. And they kids would either like take candies from me or take like a syringe with like some kind of shit from a drug dealer. They didn't have much choice. So, and generally, we tried to be like friendly with the civilians, as friendly as possible, considering that they didn't really like people from places like Kyiv. So we had to be like extra nice to everybody. Did you know who you were? Apparently, yeah. Apparently, she worked at a hospital as a nurse or something like that, from what I understood, because later I checked her information. I believe that she worked in a hospital. But she had like big drinking problem, as you probably noticed from the video. And we had to deal with people like that as well, of course. In 2015, when the war was taking place but barely being talked about. So that's the thing, unfortunately. But we don't blame international community. Frankly speaking, we didn't really even thought about international community back in those years, big time, because we took as fact that we were basically abandoned. So we coped and we just went on. Keep calm and carry on. The cemetery, yeah, that is like crazy story. Later, we cleared that area, cleared the cemetery. Let me show it to you guys. Oh my God, where was it? That is the circle. That is the park. Yeah, that is the cemetery. So, southeastern part of Krasnohorivka. Basically, back in those days, the front line would look like this something. So, all this part of Krasnohorivka, it was considered so-called gray zone or zero, null. And after a while, I think it was my second deployment, together with 14th Mechanized Brigade, we cleared this area, and Krasnohorivka, after that, it was like controlled, like 100%. But before that, there was like Russian terrorist group that went in this general direction somehow, and we had a firefight with them. We were like approximately here, and they were like here somewhere, and this is like where the main firefight happened between us. So we tried to lock them here on the cemetery, and we tried to eliminate them. Unfortunately, somehow, like I have no idea how, but they went into the town and they vanished. And it was kind of sketchy, my friends, because like you're on a patrol and you see people and you realize that some of those people can literally be terrorists who arrived yesterday through the cemetery. So there were sketchy moments like that as well. Why can't I leave a comment? I have no idea. I don't know how it works. Would you still have given him your drink if it was a Mountain Dew? I don't think so. I think I would drink Mountain Dew myself. I would give him like candy or something, or chocolate, but not Mountain Dew. Only I can drink Mountain Dew. Bit off topic, but I have seen nothing about the social situation in Georgia. No news. I don't really follow that. Like really, I would like to know myself. So we have to check other channels. Can they tell what region of Ukraine you are from by your accent? Not really. I could easily tell that they were from like Donbas area because they speak in a specific way. They speak like Rick the Ukrainian. Just kidding. They basically speak like, I don't know, ну я шахтером проработал всю свою жизнь. Like приблизно, something like that, you know. I could speak Ukrainian, Russian in different accents, so I don't think that they could tell what region of Ukraine I was from. But they could tell what region I was from, literally like from my patch, because on my patch it was saying, like in big letters, Kyiv-1. So they didn't even have to, recognize my accent. Were they really separatists or were they just Russians? They were hybrid army. That's the reason why they were called hybrid army. There were all kinds of Russian mercenaries. There were all kinds of, like, literally thugs who had no personal life. That's why they went to Donbas, because it let them kill and rape without being punished. There were Kadyrovites, like legit Kadyrovites. There were Russian, like regular troops, of course, and there were separatists as well. So there was like big mix of all kinds of filthiest trash you can imagine. Starsky, will you join the diplomatic corps? Only if they offer. Any news on the Gigolo Brigade? Asking for a friend. Yeah, why not? So I decided to use some of my older photos as well, because, for example, here I have a picture from a gym. That is a gym that we had in Kyiv-1 in the battalion. And it was a legit gym. You could gain mass, you could fight. We were doing like boxing and kickboxing, and I believe that this photo also deserves to be in the Gigolo calendar. Tell me your opinion about it. Is the drug a problem in Ukraine? It's a problem on the YouTube, actually. In Ukraine, it was like this. So when we had completely corrupted police in Ukraine, they were controlling the drug trafficking in Ukraine. After the reform, we eliminated department that like literally controlled this shit. And after that, drugs, like the drug traffic, like the drug market in Ukraine, it was decimated. Still a problem. There are still like teenagers looking for, hidden treasures, but at the same time, it's nothing compared to what we had in 2008, for example. It's absolutely different thing. What was this app you used, a dB meter? That was some app that my friend used, because that phone, the screen that you see on the screen, is his phone, actually. I was recording on my phone. So I think he used some kind of stuff to like either record sound or something like that. If Trump is elected and he pulls the plug on the US-Ukraine aid, do you think that EU should start offering more support, and could Ukraine manage with that? That is something that we can see nowadays, because European Union realized that European countries must prepare to all kinds of scenarios possible, and they take it serious because their existence depends on it, literally. If the US stops support Ukraine and European countries, then European countries would eventually have to face some really nasty things like Russian invasion, like physical Russian invasion. That's why they are preparing to continue helping Ukraine increase the aid, and they also prepare to fight themselves. I can tell, judging from countries like Germany or Baltic countries, those guys are preparing to defend themselves. So, Halichanka says, can you do an impression of a Zakarpattian accent? Що то є таке, я не розумію. Дурний тебе піп хрестив. What happened with Serbia? I've heard they've donated to Ukraine. They did. They provided Ukraine with insane amounts of artillery shells, as far as I remember. I really don't know how to comment this. Seriously. I just don't. They were always like best buddies with Russians. What happened to them today? I have no idea. Literally no idea. So you special police then? Well, it's not like we were, flying on board of a helicopter, parachuting somewhere. The word special, or особливий in the name of our battalion, it was there because we were specifically trained to fight Russian hybrid threat. We were trained to find terrorists. We were trained to use all kinds of measures we could use, including OSINT, including like air reconnaissance, all that stuff. We were not like, like invulnerable ninjas, like Rambo, whatever. We were just the guys that were trained to work with civilians, to do all kinds of filtering measures, check cars, check suspects, and arrest them. That's all. Of course, we were trained in terms of urban warfare. But we, like literally, there were like 2 or 3 cases when we used that knowledge. That's all. Most contacts that we have, that we had back in those days, they literally happened in, like in the field, like literally. Can you tell where are you located in Germany? Probably near the Netherlands because an upcoming special show in The Hague. You are completely right, my friend. I am located in North Rhine-Westphalia. Can you imagine to go back to work at police? You know, in Germany, they would not accept me, not in the nearest several years, because I have to learn German language properly. But as for Ukraine, I thought about becoming like, we adopted the system in the Ministry of Interior and in the police specifically. We adopted a system of like sheriffs. So there's a guy responsible for like specific district of the city, for example, like a sheriff. And I thought about that. On the other hand, though, 9 years of service and basically being a state serviceman, at this point, I feel that's enough. Maybe for a while, but I think that that's enough because it's sehr interessant, aber sehr stressig. Will Russian propaganda all over the world be ever destroyed rather than the country itself? Steve, yes, it will be destroyed as soon as Russia stops investing money into this shit. As soon as they don't have enough funds to finance external and internal propaganda, they will pretty much stop. Buy you a coffee. William, I literally removed the link to buy me a coffee. You can see it in the section of my YouTube that says like about me, but I removed it from the description because I won't be using it anymore, at least not in the nearest future. So guys, and by the way, big thanks to all the members and all the supporters of my channel. Thanks to you, I keep my channel running, and I appreciate your support big time. As for buy me a coffee, I stopped using it for a while, just so I could understand what they're thinking was their future plans regarding Ukraine. That's why I only have PayPal. Are these stored comments? My friend, they are live. I can confirm this. Talking about accents, how did the two Slobozhansky grandmas sound like? Really hard to reproduce it, okay? They sounded like... I cannot reproduce it because I don't hear it much, okay? I don't hear it much in Ukraine, that's why I'm not familiar. I know how it sounds, but I'm not really familiar with it myself to reproduce. But they spoke basically Surzhyk. Surzhyk is like this crazy mix of Ukrainian and Russian language, which basically sounds like Ukrainian or a bit Belarusian, you know, even. But Russians never speak like that, like never. Like in Moscow, for example. In Moscow, they speak approximately like... У меня подружка недавно залетела. Something like that, you know. I freaking hate the sound. but those two grandmas, that's exactly how they speak in border, like in bordering area, like specifically in Kursk. And by the way, there were several dudes that were taken as prisoners. Oh my god, 2018, I believe, in Svetlodarsk. They spoke like that because they come from that area. Do you like black metal? I freaking do. It rocks. I like all kinds of metal. I even like, I don't know, grindcore sometimes. Do you still have to watch Russian propaganda all day long as part of your job? It's not really even part of my job, my friend. It's part of my mission, unfortunately, because I have to do it to understand what's the plan, what's the agenda, you know. Did I miss your birthday? Roger, I had birthday on July 9th, right? And yesterday, Ali, by the way, had birthday, our moderator. I had birthday on 9th of July. I didn't celebrate it much because there was a Russian missile strike and plenty of Ukrainian civilian casualties. That's why I decided that it would be improper to celebrate my birthday on that day. Like that day and next day, there were mourning days. So I did not celebrate my birthday. Did you meet any Americans while you were in service? Yes, John, I did. I met a lot of them. I met Americans when I served in the brigade, already in the National Guard, during military exercise, Rapid Trident 2016 to 2018, 2019, 2020. 2016, I remember because that's when I was a private and I was there with my guys as a private. So I met a lot of guys from US Marine Corps. I met a lot of guys from US National Guard. I met a lot of Canadian guys, of course. Operation Unifier, we have like millions of friends there among Canadians. But guys from the US, I did meet them. One of them served in Afghanistan, and he told me crazy story that he was a sniper and something happened to his sniper rifle. So they had SVD that they confiscated from like Talibs. And he said he maintained this rifle, he like tuned the aim, and he said his first Talib was shot using this rifle, using like Soviet SVD, which I can believe. Like, to me, this story seems plausible because you can eliminate personnel using SVD. But I would not use it at a distance like larger than 600 meters because PSO, the aim that is used, that Soviet freaking piece of shit, it's really bad. Like, it's really, really bad. And generally, like, SVD is a really old rifle. It's like mentally old, okay? There are much better options nowadays. SVD as well as AK itself, they were created for like, if there's like an ape, you can give this shit to an ape and in 3 days, ape learns how to use it. okay? Because AK and SVD as well. It's like for just a bit more developed apes. So AK is basically like a Hoover. It's like a dumbbell. So it's really, really hard to break. You don't have to clean it very often, but you better do that if you want to shoot precisely. Did you meet Valid? No. I would definitely ask him for like autograph or something like that. Do you have a Wise account? No, I don't. I'm not wise enough to have it. Do you like In Flames? I listened to In Flames when I was like in 10th grade, and it's love for life. Absolutely, they're really cool. Can you imagine armed soldiers from another country are on your streets and you're like, can you give me a ride? Yeah, that is... but again, they were so friendly, right? In that video, those two grandmas. They were so friendly. They saw like military with Ukrainian flag. Guys, civilians in Russia are not afraid, like they're not really afraid of Ukrainian soldiers. There are so many videos, like, you know, Russians like literally smoke on the balcony, recording like a drone strike or something like that. They're not afraid to die because they understand that Ukrainian soldiers don't kill civilians. In Ukraine, it's a different thing. In Ukraine, whenever we have a missile strike, everybody goes to bomb shelter, except for like some crazy people, of course. But generally, everybody goes to bomb shelter because people who want to live, they understand that Russians are striking malls, Russians are striking kindergartens, Russians are striking hospitals, maternity hospitals, and they don't care. In Russia, it's a different thing. They see like, oh, Luda, смотри, Luda, look, drone is flying. Let's make a video, you know? They don't care. They know that they will not die, like in 99%, you know, unless it's unfortunate detonation of Russian anti-air missile. AKM over AK-74. The difference is the caliber. That is the only difference. So in AKM you can carry less ammo because the caliber in AKM is larger, 7.62 versus 5.45 millimeters in AK-74. But AK-74 is cool, for example, when your target is hiding in a building, in a room, for example. You can shoot into a window, whatever, without aiming because it gives some really, really crazy ricochet. That's also a problem because if your target is hiding behind a bush and you're shooting your target through the bush, there's a high chance that your target will survive. I'm talking about AK-74 because the bullets tend to tumble and like fly in all kinds of directions. They ricochet like crazy. AKM, on the other hand, even though you're carrying less ammunition, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about like ricochet. It will shoot through like anything. Another difference is when a person, when your target is wounded with 7.62, usually it has like a cigarette wound. We call it like cigarette channel, cigarette wound. It's literally a hole in you, in person, not in you, in your target. Because 545 millimeters in AK-74, they used to tumble and ricochet like crazy. There are literally cases when this bullet can enter body in like shoulder and exit through like the butt, you know? When it ricochets inside of human body, it's literally a meat grinder. So AK-74 is nasty. At the same time, the range of the direct shot is 100 meters longer in AK-74 because the impulse, the bullet impulse, is bigger. The velocity, that's the word. But at the same time, AKM is better in terms of reliability. Like, there's a guy behind a car, you can shoot him through the car, like, easily. So, like, there are two crucial differences between two rifles, even though they look more or less the same. Yeah. I heard that guys in the United States, in the army, consider of adopting, like, larger caliber. Which is based on their experience in places like Afghanistan. But I'm not sure if it's true. Let me know. Did Azov actually do something bad? I still can't tell fact from fiction about them. So besides not a successful branding, okay, I don't really think they have ever done anything bad. Branding, I talked about it with the National Guard Command many years before the full-scale Russian invasion. I said you will have problems with this shit. You have to think about it. So that's fact. But what makes Nazi a Nazi? It's either a person openly says that I'm Nazi, or this person does something that Nazi do, which is like attacking national minorities, attacking people of other races, other religions, yada yada. I don't remember any fact or any case when Azov would ever attack people of other races, other nations, other religions. What I remember is that Ukrainian Muslim community supports those guys. Ukrainian Jewish community also supports those guys. There's a lot of Jewish and Muslim people fighting in Azov. That's why whatever Russians say about them is a bullshit. The biggest myth is this. It's like because Russian people of Donbas, and we will talk about one very, very important thing in just a while. So because Russian people of Donbas wanted to separate, they didn't want to be with Ukraine, Azov came to Donbas and started massively eating people, raping geese, and do all kinds of crazy shit. And then Russia had to react and send their troops to like Donbas, Igor Girkin, and yada yada. Which is complete bullshit, because there is no Azov's massacre on a time scale. Russia invades Crimea 2 days before Yanukovych flies to Russia, which was 20th of February. Russia already invades Crimea, and Russia starts its hybrid campaign in Donbas month before Azov even emerged. So that is something that people should remember, and I made a video about it in my shorts on this channel. Please check it out. Maria Margarita, we started like 2 hours, 11 minutes ago, unfortunately. And unfortunately, my friends, I think I will have to end this stream soon because I don't want to keep you sleepy and tired. And it's actually like 13 minutes after midnight here. Okay, I really hope that... did you belong to Omega? Guys, Omega is a special force unit in the National Guard of Ukraine. I have many friends who belong to Omega. We have units in like almost every... not in almost every region. There are like 5 main units, as far as I remember, Omega units. They belong to different operative commands of the National Guard, but those guys are crazy. My friends, little did you know that during the sniper competition, and you can check this stuff on Google, guys from Omega, from National Guard, Special Force units, they became like best snipers in the world, actually. Those guys are legit. But me personally, we never belonged to Omega. We worked with them a lot in Donbas, later on Svetlodarsk Bulge, but I will tell you about it a bit later. And as for the Donbas, guys, this is very fun fact. Like literally before I go to bed, Rick the Ukrainian, hello buddy. Do you know what Donbas means? And I'm sure that Rick will confirm this. So Donbas, the word Donbas, is like short, not abbreviation, but like short word that is formed by 2 other words. Donetsky бассейн, Donbas. What is Donetsky бассейн? Literally, it's like Donetsk basin. And what is meant by Donetsk basin is Donetsk basin of coal and metals. This is how, I'm not sure about the Russian Empire, but during Soviet Union, this is exactly how like resources that were stored in Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast were called. Now, when Russians made up those people of Donbas, they literally say like the people who Donbas is a typical newspeak word. Yeah, exactly, bro. When Russians talk about people of Donbas, they literally mean like people living in the rich territory of Donetsk basin. People living in that territory where you have those valuable resources that we want to have. Donbas, it's like literally Donetsky бассейн. It's, I don't know how to compare it. It's like for example, saying that in Kuwait, okay, like hypothetically, those brave people of Kuwait oil plains decided to separate, and we have to do everything we can to support them, you know. Or like, I don't know, those brave Germans from those Western gold mines. You know, Germans inhabiting Western gold mines, they are so brave and they decided to separate. And as Russians, we have to, you know, express our, like, that's exactly, it sounds exactly like that. Donbas is not like a historical territory. It's literally the name for the resources, for the territory that is like concentrates the resources. This is why it's so funny. I mean, in terms of the Russian rhetorics. Okay, guys, I think it's really late here. I would like to say big thank you to everybody who supports my channel. Big thanks to everybody who supports my country. I want to say big thanks to all our moderators and all the decent people who stand with Ukraine, because it's a proper thing to do. Guys, we'll see you next time. Sleep well, and as always, be safe. Goodbye.